As I returned back to Torksey Lock, ready to go out onto the tidal River Trent, my timing couldn't have been better, as the tide was high and I drove straight into the lock. It would take me around 2.5 hours to navigate north to West Stockwith, which is the start of the Chesterfield Canal. At first the flow is just like a standard canal, and I needed a normal amount of propulsion to move Alice through the water. However, over the next half an hour or so, as the tide turns, the pace picks up considerably. When travelling past Gainsborough, I think it was probably the fastest Alice has ever travelled.
West Stockwith is my next lock. I've been told by the lock keeper to go past it and then turn and then approach the lock from a bit downstream. Because the tide is going out this way, I will be able to control the boat a bit more. It's very calm today, it's very hot, but I've got Molly on the deck here and she's got a big bowl of water and she's been lying in the shade most of the time.
Once I reached the lock, I turned Alice against the flow of water and tried to aim up to enter the lock. It was a bit of a challenge as the tidal flow across the front of the lock heavily pushed the side of my narrowboat to the right. It's at times like this that I'm really pleased I opted for a more powerful 42 horsepower engine.
I was able to get the stern out sort of enough and get Alice in the lock. Things should be a lot calmer now. I'm pleased I've done that stretch of river. Didn't meet any other boats, very quiet. But I'm now on the Chesterfield Canal.
This is West Stockwith Basin. It was a really nice place to moor up, with a full set of facilities including diesel, pump out and loads of water points. It's often used as a stopgap for larger cruisers navigating the Trent. YouTuber Robbie Cumming was just about finishing his trip on the canal as I was starting mine. It was great catching up with him and watching a number of England World Cup matches whilst they were still winning.
It's, I think, number one thing that anyone will notice straight away is it's absolutely beautiful. Unfortunately, there are some really challenging aspects to it, such as in the summer there's lots of weeds everywhere that you have to contend with, and it's really quite shallow. But all in all, fascinating canal, and yeah, definitely one of my top ones to visit, definitely.
Robbie's been on the canal for a number of months and has a series of YouTube videos about the Chesterfield. I've included a link to his channel in the description below. I followed a small cruiser boat along the canal towards the first two locks, just south of the village of Misterton.
Because Deb and Frank are a little bit faster in their boat than I am in mine, I'm just pausing here and letting them zoom past off into the distance. Bye bye, see you later.
The Chesterfield Canal was one of the last canals designed by James Brindley. Unfortunately, he died before the canal opened in 1777. It originally ran for 46 miles from West Stockwith to Chesterfield and was mainly built to export lead, coal and limestone from Derbyshire. Now, however, apart from a 5-mile stretch between Staveley and Chesterfield, the canal now ends just before Norwood Tunnel, making it 31.5 miles in length from the River Trent.
I have everything under control.
One of the main reasons I travelled up to the Chesterfield was because another YouTuber friend, Brady Haran, wanted to come and visit and show his Australian friend Tim a traditional English canal. As well as taking a trip along the Chesterfield, we also recorded an episode for the Unmade Podcast. We talked about all sorts of things in the hour-long recording, including tattoos, making money on Amazon, preppers and of course canals and how I live on a boat. It was a really fun day and I've included links to both the podcast as well as the discussion on Reddit in the description below.
It's a really pretty canal already. It's quite a slow canal. One of the fishermen said it's only about 3 foot deep, and you can tell that because if you tried to go any faster you just kick up lots of weeds.
July saw a record-breaking heatwave sweep across Europe, and the inside of Alice often became unbearable for both me and Molly. The stifling heat made it near on impossible to do any work inside, so I took some time out to see friends and relax.
Well, this is the sort of mooring I absolutely love. Lovely countryside, no one around, houses in the far distance. I've got a telephone transmitter up on the hill and all I can hear is Molly running past and a combine harvester collecting its harvest. Absolutely lovely. It's a really short tunnel, this is. It's more like a big long bridge. But there is a house up there and someone's garden, so...
But down here, like all tunnels, it provided a little respite from the sun, and it was lovely and cool inside. With day after day of boiling heat and zero rain, there was an explosion of weed and algae in the canal. I made sure Molly went nowhere near the water, but just getting through it became a real chore. The canal is stunning and extremely quiet. I'd see a boat maybe every other day pass by. Because there was so little traffic, as I travelled further south past Wiston Hall, I was spending more time in my weed hatch removing the endless plants from around the propeller than driving through the water. I decided to moor up at Clayworth for a few days to see if the weed would dissipate. Unfortunately, it got hotter and the weed grew even more, so regrettably I decided to cut my losses and return to West Stockwith before there was too much that I'd get stuck. I was really disappointed, as the Chesterfield Canal is absolutely beautiful. The recent weather has been of an exception though, and I'm sure this is a one-off, so I'll be returning again either in the spring or autumn. If you've not already subscribed, please do. It doesn't cost you anything, and by clicking the bell icon you'll be notified about future releases. Until next time, see you later.